Well, hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome back here to Maconi Entertainment, and welcome back to the Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series. This is race number 25 of the 2025 season, coming to you tonight from Portland. My name is Ryan Mullins. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Jeremy Briggs. Howie Burrows is our producer for tonight's broadcast. Well, Jeremy, this is the second to last race of the regular season here for the FLCC Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series, and to do it, we head off to the Pacific Northwest. The Portland International Raceway track is a storied one in the world of American racing, but it only has some recent history when it comes to stock cars running around here. But just because it's recent doesn't mean it's going to be a boring race. This is going to be a fun one here tonight.
Such recent history that this is my first broadcast here at this 12-turn, 1.96 mile Portland International Raceway here in Portland, Oregon. You can see some of those tight bends around there, turns 4 and 5, I believe that is, and then you got that long back stretch. Oh, it's going to be exciting to watch drivers just hauling the mail back there, see what kind of passes they can make.
Yeah, that back straightaway, the quickest part of this track by far. And speaking of quick racing, let's flash our minds back to the last round of the championship just 1 week ago here at Maconi Entertainment. We're in the smoke and the drama of an insane finish with more or less half the field wrecking as they headed their way down into the tri-oval at the end of the race. Lars Chenoweth was able to get the job done in the number 45 car to win the race at Daytona. It was a wild finish, though, and just part of a wild season that we've had up to this point because of the drama that we saw last week. Here's how it looks in the driver's standings as we head off into this race. Bryson Exball, Adam Benefield, Joseph McWhorter, Austin Eady, Lucas Hoisman, Daniel Lawal, and Charles Velasco Jr. and Cameron Stone all locked into the playoffs as it stands right now off of wins. Hunter Truex, he is the first driver in when it comes to points. He is the highest driver in when it comes to points, 141 above that cut line. If he has a pretty solid race here today, I think he'll more or less seal a playoff spots. Eric Wineland, Kirk Mills, and Jim Shoefield, the last of the cars into the playoffs as it stands right now. Mark Patchen, the first driver out, 38 points, I should say, my apologies, is that cutoff line. Kyle Amon, the second driver on the outside looking in, slotted P1465 back. Tim Phillips in P1581 back, and Tanner Marty running after 16 cars, the first 4 on the outside looking in. It's going to be a very hectic end to this regular season, and very different races as we get to the end of it as well. Of course, Portland here tonight, and Gateway coming up in the not too far off future as we ride on board with Blake Luot, the winner a couple of weeks ago at Watkins Glen, looking to try and do well here at Portland.
Only 2 drivers, as you saw, in those points with multiple wins this season. We'll see which driver tries to add their name to that list of multiple wins. It's been very dominant performances there by Hixenbaugh up there at the top of the board, and man, it's exciting to watch the rest of the season wind down so very quickly. Like I said, just a few more races to go. Let's see which drivers have the advantage here tonight and make it come out on top, as qualifying is just getting ready to wrap up.
And as we see this, as it stands at the present moment, I want to draw attention to the history of this track as well. Portland International Raceway, of course, the host of IndyCar. It has hosted NASCAR over the past couple of years, including this upcoming weekend's race for the Xfinity Series at Portland. Sadly, will not be returning for the 2026 calendar, but it's the site of IndyCar racing. Lots of other small little events throughout the year. I've actually worked quite a lot with a fellow co-commentator who he's actually run some races here with the Sports Car Club of America, so pretty nice to see that little connection here. This track originally was just a simple road circuit running around what used to be old military housing, and they decided to build the actual track as a result of some racers going off the circuits when it was the original street course layout and actually running into the foundations of houses. So they decided, you know what, probably a good idea to build a full track, and here we are in 2025. Let's take a look though. Ooh, that was race results. The script nearly got leaked there. Let's take a look though at the starting grid. Bryson Dixon going to start this race from the pole position. Andrew Dyson set to join him on the front row. Dyson, one of the top road course racers in the FLCC. Blake Flowod, your winner at Watkins Glen, he's slotted up at the front with Lucas Hoytsma in P4. That completes your second row. Bryce Reiner will start this race in fifth, fittingly in the 5 car with Mark Paget in the 6th starting spot in the O2 machine. Looking right behind on road number 4, it's Adam Benefield alongside Joseph and Porter. And riding our top 10 for this race here tonight will be Hunter Truell and Jim Schofield.
And just outside the top 10, you got Kirk Mills in 11th spot there. Matthew Boston Wheeler is rolling off 12th. Eric Weiland, right through those drivers above the cut line right now, rolls off 13th. Tanner Marty rolls off 14th. 15th spot, you've got Cody Bird. Mason Lowry is in 16th. 17th belongs to the number 17 of Kyle Amon. 18th spot, you got Dustin Hall in that number 1. Austin Eby in the 19th spot there. 20th spot goes to Tim Phillips. And Daniel Llewellyn rounds out our field in 21st.
And Daniel Llewellyn looking to try and sneak his way into the playoffs at the end of the season. Of course, got a win at the opening round of the championship at Daytona, but ever since then, he's never really been able to get out of first and up into second this season. Let's see if he'll be able to get a good result between now and the start of the playoffs. Taking a look at the race format, though, as we head off into this race, 75 laps long, stage breaks coming at the thirds. So that'll be stage breaks at the end of lap number 25 and the end of lap 50. Random chance for up to 2 more cautions, and touch on that, the other usual format when it comes to that here for the road course races in the FLC world. 21X is the incident cap here with 4 tire sets allotted to these races, including the ones that they will run at the start of this event. But Jeremy, this is going to be a fun one. Portland, it's a track that you don't really think of when you think of NASCAR stock car racing, and a very new addition into iRacing, but this track is unique. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Excited to experience my first broadcasted race here. See if Bryson Hixenbaugh and Andrew Dyson. See which one of those drivers on the front row can come on top. We'll see if Blake Cloat, with his dominant performance in our last road race, do it once more here tonight at Portland. We've got 75 laps to make it happen. This is going to be one of those races where you're going to want to be there right to the end. Going to be tuning in here at Maconi Entertainment to see it here tonight.
And it is going to be a compelling front row when we get this race up and rolling. Bryson Hixenbaugh, the dominant driver up to this point, with 7 wins, and Andrew Dyson alongside Dyson. I have a feeling is going to give Hixenbaugh a solid run for his money, and the same can certainly be said about Blake Clout. Lucas Hoytsma slotted in P4 after wrecking out of the race in rather spectacular fashion last time at Daytona. He's going to look to try and bounce back big time here at Portland for race number 25 of this season. We're getting to the end of this regular season, so there's a lot at stake. Some racers looking to put their way into the playoffs, others looking to grab a win in the dying breaths. It's going to be a dominant racer and a driver making a one-off start, completing your front row as we are up and rolling with some green flag racing here at Portland. The green flag is out. The drivers are on their way as they head their way down the start-finish straightaway off into turn number 1. It's going to be Hixenbaugh and Dyson side by side. Paget overcooking it big time into the turn. He's got to take the number 73 of Joseph McWhorter along with him.
Looking at the field, I think that, McWhorter was involved. I think Hoytsma, the 97, was involved as well.
Yeah, I think it may have been Hoytsma. My apologies there. I think McWhorter may have gone away with one. It usually looks like the other car that McWhorter runs. I saw it was purple. I think that may have been Hoytsma there. My apologies.
That's all right. We're still side by side up here at the front, though. Hixenbaugh, Dyson, who's going to come out on top? We're looking no further. Right there, that number 40 of Blake, right there in third, trying to capitalize. Is going to be the outside here of Hixenbaugh. I believe it might be the inside when we get to this turn. We'll have to see how it checks out. No, it'll be the outside, but he single files it in there. These drivers still on lap number 1, 1.96 miles all the way around.
Still keeping it rolling here for the first lap of this race. A clean start outside the drama that we had heading down into turn number 1. It's going to be Andrew Dyson leading over Blake Kluat, my apologies. Bryson Ixenball slotted in P3. Bryce Reiner jumping up to 4th in the early stages. Pretty good start from the driver, the number 5 machine, as he looks to try and capitalize on some moments early. But rather clean start here at Portland. These racers looking to keep that momentum rolling as we can continue on with the second lap of the race now.
Looking right there on your screen, you had the 69 of Kirk Mills moving his way up the field, up to 7th right now. The 73 of Joseph McWhorter in there as well, up to 6th. Excuse me, just outside the top 5. Hunter Truel, that 71 machine, pretty much locked into the championship hunt with his points advantage over that cut line. Jim Schroeder and Eric Weinman. It's all pretty much cut-off drivers right there.
A lot of racers looking to point their way into the playoffs, going to be duking it out here around this 12-turn road course all throughout tonight. Dyson still your race leader as they negotiate the 9 and 10 chicane right at the end of this lap. This is a challenging final corner though. Turns number 11 and 12 right at the end of this lap. You get spat onto the start-finish straightaway, which as you can see from the back of shot, which is technically runoff area that these racers can use if they decide to bail out of the entry of turn number 11. This start-finish straightaway very wide. Not only is it odd on the exit of the final turn, it's very odd heading off into the opening chicane as the track bottlenecks big time. I've seen many a moment in many an IndyCar race. Even when IndyCar returned here back in 2018, I'm pretty sure Marco Andretti ended that race upside down as a result of a moment coming out of that chicane. Very challenging opening corner around here. So if we do have some restarts a little bit later on in this race, which we most certainly will, at the very least we'll have 2, that first 2 turns, that is going to be a huge bottleneck.
Especially drivers trying to punch their way into the playoffs. Desperate times, you go desperate measures. Even the cautions late lead to that. Dyson, driver out front though, was the fastest that last lap. Kloat there still in second. See Kirk Mills over the back bumper of that 73 of McWhorter. We look a little bit further back. I believe that was Eric Weinland. Excuse me, Weitzma of the 97. He is all the way back to 13, trying to make the charge back to the front. Not sure if there might be a little bit of damage there to his right front. We'll have to take a look at it at some point.
Yes, I'm not sure what the deal may be, but Hoytsma certainly dropping down like an anvil push out of a helicopter at the start of this race. Hicksonball setting in a quick lap of 1:14.009 as he completes lap number 3. He still holds on to P3 as it stands right now in the 63. Lots of threes there in the span of a couple of moments as it was briefly going to shoot down to 0.3 of a second between himself and Blake Kluat, your P2 runner. Andrew Dyson still holding on to it. Dyson, he's been a pretty compelling driver to keep tabs on when it comes to the FLCC world, when it comes to these road course races. I'm going to look through. I don't believe he's gotten a road course win up to this point in the season here in the Xfinity cars, but I know on the Cup side of things he was able to get a win a little bit earlier on the season. I think it may have been potentially at Chicago. I will go through my my own record here and double check myself. If anyone's going to fact check me, it will be myself.
See what the lap times are this lap. Dyson coming to the start finish line. Looks like he pulled away just a little bit from Kloat that time. Just a little bit here and there, but you can see it. The timing and scoring does make it look a lot farther, but man, they are still so close. That top 5, Benefield. Speaking of threes, the 83 of Benefield starting to put his name into this little battle right here. All over the back bumper of Bryce Reiner in that 5 machine. Kind of broke away right now from Joseph McWhorter and Kirk Mills. Early on here. I think we're about 16 laps away from our first stage break.
Certainly making progress and whittling the laps away slowly but surely. And I was looking through, Dyson was able to get a win in the FLCC at Chicago. So my original theory was correct, and he's been able to get a couple more wins than that. Even followed it up with a win at Sonoma the week after. So very own road course ringer here this season. Also got the job done at Watkins Glen. So clearly comfortable on those road courses is Andrew Dyson. Holds on to the lead right now here in this Xfinity races. We're going to take a look at a replay of the drama that took place at the very start. We saw heading down into turn number 1, it was Mark Paget looking to punch his way into the playoffs with either a win or a pretty good point stay here today. He wants to have a good result at Portland, and I think he may have overcooked it a little bit. As you can see right in front of him as they headed their way around the final turn, about to grab the start of this race, was Lucas Hoytsma. You can see the gap between those cars, basically nothing, running nose to tail, waiting for that green flag to come out. Again, this is a replay, folks. We have already grabbed the other green flag here for tonight's race. And you can see a little bit of a stacking up there as they approached that start zone. And then as they finally gunned it, you can see Paget well farther back, the number 73 of McWhorter all around him, and there you can see overcooking it big time off into the turn. I can't fault Paget for that too much, though. That has happened to all different manners of racers over the years.
Yeah, Hoytsma definitely got some pretty hefty damage, looks like, to that right front, right there. Nose-to-nose contact, very heavy. Maybe shattered tires just a little bit. These restarts are just very tricky. You know, you don't really get time to practice this. You know, these drivers do race each and every week, and they do a great job at it, but sometimes it just catches you off guard just that little bit. You can see Paget with a slight slip up there at the beginning, but I believe both drivers still under power and still racing around. Will have some time during the stage break to get some of that damage taken care of.
Yeah, that'll certainly be a big benefit to these racers, and this kind of goes without saying, but I will say it anyways for congruity's sakes. I'm not sure if they still do it in the Xfinity Series, but we will have live pit stops because I'm not sure how you'd be able to swing that on iRacing. So once we do have those pit stops, come time for the stage break here in the not too far off future, gonna see some racers try and pull out the fenders, break out their cars a little bit, and make sure they are as close as you can get to factory fresh as we bring this race a little bit farther along. Andrew Dyson, still your race leader over Blake Clowat, Bryson Ixenball rounding out your podium with Adam Benefiel and Bryce Reiner completing your top 5. See some lap traffic a little bit farther up the road as well here, Jeremy. That's one thing about Portland, despite having 12 turns in all, is a rather short racetrack. This, on the grand scheme of road courses, with lap times only in the 1 minute teens, it is quite short of a lap.
We got to think about it. Talladega is 2.66 miles, and here we are at 1.96 miles. So, like I said, it's a road course, but not too large. But it's definitely still a road course, and those leaders are catching up the lap traffic. That can make it treacherous unless you can get that passed on one of these straightaways, because some of these turns are very tight, hard to be side by side. You don't want to get taken out here by a lap car. Going to end your championship hopes. These leaders right now, 3 of them pretty much under a blanket. Dyson, Clowat, Hexenbaugh. That great green looking machine of Hexenbaugh there in that 63. Really getting at it right here. Slide the tires just a little bit on exit, but still within striking range.
Yeah, and still there to pounce as well. Dyson, Clowat, and Hixenball all covered by not a lot as they head their way off through the final few turns. I mentioned a little bit earlier on the other runoff chute that you can see there. In case any of these racers have a moment heading down into the final turn, they can take a small little meandering detour and rejoin on the other side of those Toyota barriers that you see there on the far end of that camera shot. As we see these racers head their way down the start-finish straightaway off into turn number 1. Andrew Dyson, Blake Clowat, and Bryson Ixenball all running nose to tail and breaking away as well from Adam Benefiel, who's put on a pretty rousing drive as it stands right now, slotted in 4th and slowly but surely reeling in these racers, but there's only so much you can do. I think one of the reasons that could potentially help him soon is the fact they got the 03, that's a lap car of Austin Evie right there in front.
All right, here we go. Leaders are on the back bumper of Evie. that Dale Earnhardt Jr. look like. Ford. Looks like they're going to get a good position here around that 03 at this wide right-hander. But they should be taking us to the backstretch.
And taking it onto the curved back straightaway, the fastest part of this track by a significant margin. And as I talked about the stunning nature of this track here in Portland, Oregon, the original site of the Rose Parade, let's do an onboard lap here as we see these racers complete yet another lap here at Portland Raceway. And let's do it with your race leader of Andrew Dyson, heading down the start-finish straightaway, off into turn number 1, down the gears. He's going to go into second, first gear, pretty much a death sentence whenever you're running on a road course. Look at him sawing at the wheel as he negotiates a curb. That's one thing that's quite different in these NASCAR races compared to the IndyCar races and others that take place here. You can really whack the curbs. That's turn number 4 that we're seeing Dyson head his way off through right now, into 5 right now. That section of the track, you think it's just going to be a constant radius, constant turn. No, that is not going to be the case. Here's turn number 6, a rather difficult corner to psych out as well. Still got that curve in the road as you head your way and try and set yourself up well to hit the brakes and go down into turn number 7. Good overtaking spot if you're feeling particularly brave. Now you got a couple of kinks here, got that curb on the outside to really keep you on your toes, but now you've got this long back straightaway. It's a back straightaway with a bend in the road, and even with some kinks before it, they don't count those as a turn. They count the bend in the road as turn number 8. Here's turn number 9 and 10, the chicane right towards the end of this lap. You can see utilizing that access road on the outside to try and give you enough of a wide berth to keep the momentum rolling as you head your way out of turn number 11 and 12. With a lot of painted lines around this racetrack, these drivers should be counting their lucky stars that they're not running in the rain, because if they had to manage the power as they came their way out of that turn, there would be one way to describe what they would be in for, and it is a world of hurt.
That was a great lap, Ron. As we watched that, you can see that it's almost a complete straightaway as we had Llewellyn come down pit road already. Not sure if that was for a stop or if it was because of the leaders were coming by. It looks like he just maybe called it a night. Looks like he missed his box and just towed there. Back up front, Cloat getting a little pressure from Hexenbaugh. As I was saying right there, it almost looks like it's a complete turn. There's no real big straightaway except for the front straightaway. It's very interesting to see it from that perspective. As these drivers got to manage that throttle, get really close to these walls. Oh, Hexenbaugh off the track.
Oh, and Hexenbaugh, very big moment as he headed his way through the braking zone into the chicane. Gonna lose it, go for a quick trip into the grass, and now Anna Benefield gonna be right there to pounce Benefield. Mistake-free, he's gonna try and get a move done. Let's see as he's right there to the back of him. Looks like it won't be a move down into turn number 1, 2, and 3, and that is going to be potentially a little bit more drama for Hexenbaugh, a bit more of a thorn in his side. Let's take a look at this replay to see exactly what happened here. Very tricky having to manage this braking zone with that load that's getting put through the tires all throughout there. That is going to be a very tricky corner all throughout tonight. Also pretty tricky to sight out as well as we take a look there. I think it just hit the bumps big time, and yeah, loses it pretty severely. One more thing to raise about this track here, Jeremy. Despite the fact that it feels like a purpose-built track, it is, technically speaking, it can still be used as roads at certain points in time. I believe it's primarily used as a track, but it is still not silky smooth like an F1 circuit.
So it's like a partial street course? Is that what you're trying to say there, Ron?
It is... It's kind of odd. I would mark it as a permanent road course, but it's kind of a track similar in a sense to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal. Kind of similar in the sense that it's pretty much running through a park, essentially. As here you can see a move hang down to the final turn from the 47 of Shoefield on the 03 of Austin Evie. One lap down, of course, is that 03 of Evie, but still nice to see an overtake attempted heading down into the final turn. You have to be you have to be alert on a street circuit. You also have to be alert so you don't say elite when it's actually alert up there on the screen. But yeah, it's a track in an odd way similar to Montreal up there in Canada, which the NASCAR at the time, it was the Nationwide Series used to run at back in the day.
We see Weiland right here. Right there in 10th position, trying to get 9th away from Schofield. But on his back bumper is Matthew Boston Wheeler and the number 06, O's 03. Oh, that's a lap car there, running a little bit wide. Maybe trying to let the 97 of Hoytsma go by here very shortly. Hoytsma start up very close to that front row. Little incident at the beginning, trying to make his charge back to the front, back up to 12th now with a little bit of right front damage.
And trying to get back up and rolling here in this race as you can see these racers hitting their curbs big time all through that final sector as that Schofield very slow on corner exit. That is going to sacrifice P number 9 for him as Eric Wineland going to blow his doors off as they head their way onto the start finish straightaway. That final turn, so hard to nail down. If you have a moment coming out of there, you're going to hit the grass, and there's such a razor-thin margin between ending up in the grass and just having a slow exit, or ending up in the grass and sliding off into the outside tire barriers. That's a 29 of Tanner Marty with a moment down to turn number 1.
Yeah, we just saw right there in that background, you could just see it when we had that one shot. Let's take a quick look at the Maconi Entertainment replay. Goes down here into turn 1. Just locks it up. Yeah, potentially maybe downshift it a little too much. It just locked it down. Try not to wreck it. Guys, that's the best way to go about it, right? Luckily, nobody else hit him.
Yeah, very lucky that he got away with that without any other major incident, but that's exactly what happened there. Probably went down the gears a bit too quickly, wheel hopped it, and around he goes as he had his way down into that first chicane. Do want to mention the fact that there is a layout that you can run both in real life if they decide to move some of the barriers, and most certainly on iRacing, that skips out that first chicane. That run heading off into what is turn number 4 on this layout that we are running, turn number 1 on the chicaneless layouts. That would be a terrifying run. There's no question or shadow of a doubt about it. Let's look at Matthew Boston Wheeler and Jim Schofield battling, hang down to turn number 1. Wheeler nearly wheeled it for a 2-for-1 deal down into turn number 1, and now it's going to be a 4-car battle as look at that. Lucas Hoytsma, the number 97 car, after that drama in the early stages, he's back.
Trying to snag maybe a stage point here late in the run. Get a little bit closer to front to get some more time to fix that damage. Waiting for that stage break coming up. Looks like the 47 is Schofield, maybe losing a little bit of rear lateral grip. Starting to struggle on the exit of the turns. Already about 10 laps to go in this stage, so struggling just a little bit, I think, right now. See if he can make an adjustment here on this pit stop to help his car last just a little bit longer. As we ride on board here with Lucas Hoytsma. He's looking at his back bumper. Trying to make that pass happen is Boston Wheeler in that 10th and final position for stage points. Just in front of him, though, Wineland got a little loose coming onto that final turn onto the straightaway. They're going to be side by side in the turn 1 run.
And here they go. There's a battle that may cool off as Matthew Boston Wheeler gonna haul the mail into turn number 1. He holds on to that spot. He gets it done, and he's not even gonna have a challenge from Eric Wineland. I thought he was going to just overshoot that corner by a country mile and so go so far wide he probably would have ended up in Sheboygan, Wisconsin when he was done with it all. But no, he ends up in P9. So well done to Matthew Boston Wheeler. Probably his tires and brakes screaming in agony. That could be part of the reason why I just missed that apex there. Heading off into turn number 6 is giving Eric Wineland what I like to call 3 feet of hope. It's like, hey, you think you can get a move done on me again? No, you can't.
Schofield now over the back bumper there of Wineland through all of that. Maybe Schofield's tires maybe coming back, maybe got him a little bit hot. Oh! Was there a little bit of contact right there? Or did somebody get into the wall? I'm not sure. There was something happened there. That was wild.
Yeah, it looked a little bit iffy as we saw that drama go on, heading down into the turn. I'm trying to get my feet up right now as we take a look right now at this drama heading off through turn number 8. And I have a feeling that there was a wall tap. You can see how odd it is. That bit of the road right by the racing line, super, super bumpy. And you also have that barrier rather jagged there as well. I am awaiting the day that someone finds a small little bit of that wall to no clip and comes to a stop heading off into that turn. Now a side-by-side battle with Lucas Hoytsma and Jim Shoefield. Well done to Hoytsma to jump his way up to P11. Shoefield not having the day that he was. Eric Weiland not having the run through turn number 5 that he wanted. And he goes off onto the grass. A lawnmower in the form of that number 87 car. Not going to help out his cause one bit.
Thought these drivers were out here battling for the lead, but this is for the final stage point. One heck of a battle as laps were winding down. Like we said, they're pretty quick laps here. These drivers are just flying through them right now. If I remember correctly, there was a 70% chance for random caution, right? I believe that was the math.
Correct, yes. Breaking out the specific statistics for this.
So we still got time.
Yeah. That we certainly do. There is that chance of a random yellow in between the stages that we have got here tonight. Of course, getting to the end of this first stage here in the not too far off future. It is lap 18 that we're on at the present moment. Stage breaks again. A reminder to those tuning into this show right about now and weren't around for the pre-race show. Stage is going to come at the end of lap number 25 and lap number 50 here of this 75 lap long race here at Maconi Entertainment. And to all of you tuning into the show, we hope you enjoyed tonight's action. If you do, how about to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on the action and don't miss out on the slide that Lucas Hoytsma just had as he had his way off through turns number 5 into 6 right there. That's the thing with the mid-sector of this track. It is corner after corner after corner after corner. It is a relentless assault on both car, tire, and driver.
Very mental game there to make sure you don't put too much throttle into it. You got to remind yourself, just got to be patient here. You know, we're only coming up to the lap 25 first stage break, but man, Hoytsma putting on a clinic with a great comeback here. Trying to find himself back into the top 10. Laps winding down, coming out of the straightaway. If Hoytsma gets a good exit, they may be side by side in the turn 1.
Let's see if this battling is going to be the case. As look at that number 97. He thinks about down into turn number 1. The flames spitting out the exhaust as these racers slam on the brakes into 1. Not able to get that move done will be the number 97 of Lucas Hoytsma. They remain line astern in P10 and 11 respectively. Andrew Dyson still holding on to the race lead. Now an 0.8 of a second gap between himself and Blake Kluot. Bryson Ixenball still runs at your podium in third. However, he has really lost touch with the cars right in front. Hasn't necessarily shaken off Adam Benefield like a bad case of the fleas either. He slotted fourth in the number 83 car, only about 1.2 seconds off of Bryson Ixenball. They're certainly not overlapping. You would probably need a rather big blanket to cover the two of them, but it's not like there's a vast yawning chasm between them either.
You can see the brakes glowing there on the Kluot machine. Driving in deep, trying to put the pressure on to Dyson, get Dyson to maybe slip up, but these are probably two of the best right here. Honestly, our top 4 are some really big heavy hitters here. We saw Ixenball with a little mistake earlier. We'll see if any of our drivers slip up, but you can still see Dyson, the 41, and Kluot, the 40. 1 and 2 with lap traffic in front of them.
Yeah, and that lap traffic yet again a factor. I mentioned about this racetrack. It's one of the shortest road courses on the NASCAR Xfinity Series calendar. Only 12 turns, a tick under 2 miles. As a result of that, these racers will have to worry about lap traffic all night long from the drop of the green through to the fall of the checkered. This is an absolutely historic racetrack as well. The current configuration has been in use since 2008. This exact turn number 7, was one of the latest alterations made to this facility. It was a bit more rounded off before they changed it back in 2008. As I forget who it was. I think it was Peter Windsor who used to do some stuff for the F1 YouTube channel. He used to refer to it as 2008 instead of 2008. As look at Bryson Hickson. Oh no, that's Lucas Hoytsma. You can tell that was dangerous based off the fact I called him the completely wrong name.
Wineland.
As Eric Wineland really dirt tracking it off into the final turn.
Wow. What a battle here. If these drivers keep it up, though. Lucas Hoytsma and Eric Weiland really battling out here for that 10th and final position. But Schofield right there in 12th. They keep it up, might just sneak away with it as the laps are winding down. 4 laps to go here in stage 1. Tires are getting worn out and that fuel load's getting lighter. Ron, we're going to start seeing cars probably getting a little bit more wishy-washy. Look at this battle up front, still really close.
Yeah, I like the professional terminology of wishy-washy there. It's a pretty good way to describe it, though. These cars got to be feeling a heck of a lot different than they did a matter of 20 laps ago. Andrew Dyson and Blake Kluot holding on to P1 and P2, the 2 road course ringers, looking to get a good result here today. As look at Kluot, he thinks about maybe going to go for the move down to turn number 1. He thought better of it, though. That first chicane, as much as is the heaviest braking zone around this track by a pretty significant distance, even though the back straightaway may be a little bit longer, you got a pretty medium speed corner that you ship it off into, so going for a move off into there probably not going to work. The first turn, though, can work out well, but you need to get that done with authority, and it will more often than not get physical.
Getting to the back bumper is one thing, making the pass is the other. Rolot, the Home Depot Coca-Cola with, I believe that's a firefighting dog on the hood there. Or excuse me, that would be a polar bear. Excuse me. Looking at it upside down.
Yeah, I think that may be the Coca-Cola polar bear. You know, fun fact for you, actually. I used to have a plushie of an old Coca-Cola polar bear, which was 2 polar bear plushies I had. One of them, I bought the Philadelphia, I bought, my brother bought for me at the Philadelphia Zoo back in 2013. I brought it to my first ever karting event. I dropped it on its eye, and the eye picked up a small little, like, scuff or a chip on it. And that's still around to this very day.
Great marketing there by Coca-Cola back in the day. I wonder if they still make those.
Now that is a very good question. I mean, they brought back new Coke because of I think it was Stranger Things had some sort of cross-in, tie-in promotion or some other kind of crap. So who knows? They probably still make those Coca-Cola polar bear plushies. Oh. That's a pit stop from Lucas Hoytsma. Interesting to see that. He already had the damage from the moment a little bit earlier on, deciding to flip the stage. Now we get into the strategy talk.
I guess it's safe to say he doesn't think the damage is affecting him too much. Probably not expecting too much repairs here. With a green flag pit stop, you see Kirk Mills, the 69, the 06 of Matthew Boston Wheeler on his back bumper. This battle right here is for 8th and 9th.
Ooh, Jackson, I thought I was just going to see contact there with Mills and Wheeler. This battle getting intense as Wheeler going to wheel it down the inside. Turn number 7. He thought about going for the move. He went for the move, but I think it's going to sacrifice his run onto this back straightaway as well. Bryson Ixball, he's made the call to come down pit lane, but a black flag in the air for him. Must have been either an unsafe pit entry or speeding. Bryson Ixball, that is going to be a huge detriment for him here in this race. Will he just drive through? Will he do that? I think at that point, he'll probably pick up a stop and go. So drive through won't help him out one bit. He's going to stop in his pit stall. This is going to be lengthy for your at 1 point podium runner.
Very detrimental to one of the 2 multi-time winners here this season. Hicksabah is going to have to. It looks like he's able to drive off. We'll have to see what the penalty ends up being then.
Let's see exactly how he picked this up as he headed his way down into the final turn, turn number 11 and 12, and keeps it tidy, keeps it tidy, keeps it nice, keeps it rolling. Oh, Jackson, yeah, that had to have been a pit lane speed penalty.
We came in just a hair too quick right there at the beginning.
I think it was about as quick as a hare jumping onto a carrot. That looked very, very quick on pit lane, and you can clearly see as well the RPMs dropping down as he tried to get a load up, a rear lock in the midst of all that as well. The pit lane is closed right now. Nick Fleck, Blarney Quando Flurn, as we get to the end of this first stage here tonight for race number 25 of the Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series here on Maconi Entertainment. As we look, that was Matthew Boston Wheeler thinking about putting the bumper to the back of Kirk Mills in the 69 car. They still remain line of stern, but Wheeler got a bit more antsy.
Whew, that was certainly a close one. Are you trying to grab one more spot there before the end of the stage? Try to set yourself up for a good pit road as they go around the lap car there. You can see Kirk Mills laying down some rubber. Oh, we got a car off the track up here. Is that Wineland?
I think Wineland's still
Nope, we're good. We're good. It wasn't
right.
Wineland. Yep, it wasn't Wineland. It was a blue car, though.
Yeah, and whoever that blue car was, he's with the green grass as it stands right now. But either way, we're about to approach the end of this stage here as well on the white flag lap, and there I believe is going to be the stage victory there from Andrew Dyson. He's going to win it. Still have to wait though for all the cars in the top 10 to cross that start finish line, so maybe a little bit before we can finally bring this first stage of tonight's racing action to a conclusion. Been a rather clean and tame one up to this point here in this race. We'll let you know that the end of this stage is going to be Andrew Dyson finishing in front of Blake Kluot. You can see that gap between the two of them, 0.8 of a second at the end. I think those two will be the ones to duke it out for the win here tonight. Bryce Reiner will be classed in third with Adam Benefield in P4, Joseph McCorder in fifth, Hunter Truel in sixth, Kirk Mills in P7 in the number 69 car. Nice. Matthew Boston Wheeler in eighth, Eric Wineland and Jim Schufield, who just crossed the line, rounding out your top 10. As the yellow is out, we are under the first stage break here tonight at Portland, and now we got to see how those early calls to pit may work out for Lucas Hoitzma.
So the field's going around right now, getting caught back up. They're going to catch up to that pace car. You can see pit road still closed.
Here's an interesting proposal here for you, Jeremy. Andrew Dyson, do we want to give him a little bit of a scare here? I think we'll wait until after the other pit stops are done before we have a little chat with him potentially. As it stands right now, Andrew Dyson, rather dominant in that first 10. I think there's no other way to describe it. The driver, the number 41, running pretty all right. Everybody else, though, just trying to run the coattails of himself and Blake Kluot. They've been pretty much indomitable ever since the drop of the green flag. There's no other way to describe it. Bryson Ixenball was close, but with that penalty he picked up at the end of that stage, he is going to be really on the back foot.
Definitely going to have a big dagger into the night there for Hixenbaugh. I do see Dyson in one of the chat rooms tonight, so I believe we'll be able to hopefully snag him for a quick chat after his pit. I think it's a great idea. As you can see, the field still all trying to get caught back up. That was how big the lead was there for Dyson up front. Really pulled away.
But now, with this yellow, that lead has been erased, so it's a slight reprieve for everybody else. They will have an attempt to try and challenge him, but throughout the first stint of this race, the first stage of tonight's race, it's been a smooth one here at Portland, as I just realized that my glasses again really smudged up, so this may be fun. All these racers make that call to come down pit lane as I'm cleaning off my glasses. Fun little fact to all of you, my feet work better than my eyes do in terms of working as eyes. So I'm not sure how seeing out my left toe would work, but I think it would be better than seeing out my left pupil. You can see everybody making that call to come down pit lane, and it's going to be Andrew Dyson leading them down into the pits.
As I'm currently trying to look out of my left toe right now. Trying to see how we're coming down pit road. You can see Dyson into his pit stall there. We'll see which drivers stayed out to flip the stage here once it all gets cycled around. So far, so good. Everybody can do the 4 tires and fuel. Every team had 3 sets in the pits. Now everybody should be down to 2 sets as they come off of pit road.
Got the first round of pit stops up and rolling. I could also see Bryson Ixabal making that call to come down pit lane there as well. So interesting to see that as well. But let's have a chat as we're still under this yellow to talk with Andrew Dyson, our stage 1 winner. Andrew, welcome in here to the broadcast booth. Pretty comfortable stage 1 win for you. How was it out there from your perspective?
Oh, I wouldn't say comfortable. I mean, Black was going pretty well there. He was right on me, and I think he was close enough, maybe a few times, to think about going for a risky one, but he never quite got close enough to probably go for one that would be a higher percent of a move. So that was good. I was lucky. Well, not lucky. I was good enough to stay in front of him just enough, but hopefully I can keep doing the same thing. And we'll see how we go.
Yeah, and looking ahead for the rest of this race, 1 stage down, is there anything that you feel like you're going to take from stage 1 as we get a little bit farther along in this race? Any lessons you've learned about running well here at Portland?
Oh, definitely, man. There was a few things I picked up. Exiting the hairpin, the real tight one in the middle of the lap before you come to the back straight. So there's a couple of things I probably picked up. Probably more to do with like tire life things. And this last chicane we're coming into here as well, the last couple of corners before the end of the lap. A couple of things I could probably do a bit differently, and maybe look after the tire a little bit that way. But that's all. There's probably a few other things, but I'll be rambling on forever if I explained everything.
And based off the performance there in the first, actually, I was going to say that we may have a chat with you later on. I don't want to jinx you, but Andrew, thank you for giving us your insight at the end of this first stage here tonight. We'll let you get on with the job and say good luck throughout the rest of the race, man. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, boys. Thank you for that, and have a good call.
That we certainly will. That right there was Andrew Dyson, your stage 1 winner. At the end of that first stage, he held on to an 0.8 of a second gap. Some drama with some strategy, though, Jeremy, as we lick the stamp and send it off into stage number 2. These racers have some lessons they've already learned and maybe a little bit of more push to get some moves done early.
Drivers has got 25 laps of green flag racing to kind of get a good feel for their cars. See how they can get around these turns maybe a little bit more aggressively, get closer side by side. We'll see which drivers make the right calls and which drivers make the wrong calls here at this next restart. Don't forget there's a small probability for a random random yellow flag in this second stage if there's not one caused by a major incident, which is usually a low probability, but you never know. And you can see the field is stacked up. Pace car lights are off. You can see Hicksaball there towards the end of the field. I'm not sure if he served this penalty yet, but we'll have to take a look at that.
I got to imagine that black flag had to have been served, and we're hearing as well that it has been served. But it's still going to be a fun one here for stage number 2. These racers with some lessons that they've learned in the first third of tonight's event. And a reminder, folks, the end of stage number 2 going to come at the end of lap 50, and we still have that random chance yellow that could come out over the next few laps. And if we do, that could be a rather... That could be a rather big change for these racers as my thought train gets removed a little bit. I got about 5 Discord pings at the exact same time. I'm pretty sure my left eardrum has now been turned into a fine red mist as we're about to get this race up and rolling.
Man, my ear hurts thinking about turning into a fine red mist.
Not very comfortable. Lots of paperwork involved. Oh, boy.
We'll see how this restart goes and see if any drivers make any bold moves here in a turn 1 like they did last time. It was a little chaotic at the front. See if anybody learned any lessons.
Yeah, let's see what the run down into the first chicane will be like. It was clean on the first attempt with the exception of that moment involving the number 97 of Hoytsma and the 0-2 of Mark Pageant. No intent mean there, obviously, the 0-2 of Pageant just overcooking it big time down into turn number 1. But here we go, back to green flag racing here at Portland. We are once again underway with Andrew Dyson jumping out to a massive gap as they head their way down into turn number 1 and 2. Who's going to master the brakes? Who's not going to master the brakes? Looks like everybody keeps it clean down in there. Rather tame, I gotta say.
Yes, it looks like everybody's just kind of riding it out right through their two turns 1 and 2. Everybody just trying to get a single file. Knock on wood, so far so good. Looks like everybody's trying to just settle in, get the new rubber worked in, get the good ready, maybe make some passes here through the middle of this stage.
And get into a groove, get into a nice little vibe here for stage number 2. Andrew Dyson looking to get out to a nice little gap over himself and Blake Cloat. Those two already jumping out to a nice gap. I keep calling it Cloat. It's Cloat. I apologize. Blake even sent us a very generous message letting us know about his name pronunciation. I believe he said that he was Cajun as well. So nice to see him out there on the racetrack in the number 40 car. As currently running in P2 as it stands presently with a half a second gap to himself and Andrew Dyson, completing the first lap here back under green flag conditions here in stage number 2. Looking at a battle maybe gonna flare up involving Adam Benefield and Bryce Reiner. Those two drivers covered by about 0.3 of a second. A look at Kirk Mills right behind as well. Kirk, our Maconi Entertainment colleague and one of the commentators on the full-length Cup Challenge on Saturday nights here on Maconi. Currently running in P5 as it stands right now. Kirk, pretty all right on these road courses. He's put in some good results over this season.
Kirk having a good run, like you said, do pretty decent at these road courses. I personally struggle at road courses, so these drivers having a good run so far, really working the wheels, working the throttle and the brake just right. Got to be smooth and steady every race. You saw that one little slip up earlier in that first stage with one of the drivers just touching the wall going into the turn. Got to make sure you're prepared for every little inch. You can see right there, that's the turn where the wall just jots out just a little bit, and if we're too far right, we'll catch it. See right there, the number 5 of Bryce Reiner. I think it wasn't 4th yet. It was Benefield that was up in front of him that was slipping and sliding.
Benefield with a rather clean run heading off through the final turn, unlike Reiner, who took that trip off into the grass. Nothing too terribly bad for him there, but he'll certainly want to keep moments like that down to a minimum. As here's Kirk Mills and Hunter Truel, two of the racers trying to point their way into the playoffs with only a week left to go after this race here tonight. Truel, the highest driver when it comes to points, that is, currently slotted as the, I think right now is the... I believe he's a 9th driver in the playoffs. I'll have to double check that. My math skills failing me at the worst time. Hey, that's usually how it went for me in school as well. But Hunter Truel holding on to P6 as it stands right now, looking to get a good Wednesday to essentially lock his way off into the playoffs. And for the driver who tore it up in the earlier stages of the season with a dash for cash, won 2 of those races and took home some nice paydays as a result of all that. He wants to try and contend for a championship at the end of the season. He's been not exactly the flashiest racer in the world, but he's had the consistency on his side.
Yes, wins are important, but being consistent works just as good as long as you don't have more than 16 winners. Truel showing you just that. And on his back bumper, you got the 73 there, Joseph McWhorter, starting to put the pressure on. Hexenbaugh, the 63, running in 8th. He's one of those drivers that was trying to flip the stage and made a mistake coming onto pit road, had to serve a penalty.
Slowly but surely settling back into a groove here for stage number 2. Looking at this 4-car battle that's getting a little bit hair-raising between Mills, Truel, Joseph McWhorter, and the number 73 car who follows slotted in 7th right now. And Bryson Hexenbaugh, he's back with a game. he wants to try and get his 8th win of this season and try and seal the deal on what has been an absolutely fantastic season for him up to this point in time. Already 7 wins. And hey, if he doesn't get win number 8 between now and the end of the regular season, it's still been a very productive late winter, spring, and summer for him here in the 2025 Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series season. Slotted in 8th as it stands right now in the number 63 car, looking to try and get a good result out of this race here tonight. Want to bring in a bit more history, though, talking about this track here of Portland International Raceway. This track originally opened back in 1961, and as I said a little bit earlier on in this show, used to be the site of military housing, and then they finally decided to build an actual layout of this track, so it wasn't just a glorified street circus. And the current track that we really know and love today first came to being back in 1971, and even then, only a couple alterations have been made ever since. The pit lane has been shifted a little bit over the years. Actually, the access road heading down into the final 2 turns is one of the other major changes. That used to be the pit lane, funnily enough. Oh, look at that. That was a 63 of Bryson Ixenball with a strange cut as he had his way onto the back straightaway. One of only a few features of this track, Jeremy, that ever since people first started racing at Portland International Raceway has remained a constant ever since. That curved back straightaway has always been a thing, incidentally.
Oh, Ixenball get into the wall again. It looks like off the final turn. Man, you wouldn't think of the walls being too treacherous at a road course, but it seems to be that just here tonight at Portland. Those walls just at the exit of those turns are trying to catch every inch of the track that you kind of carry as much momentum. You get so used to having all this runoff through these turns, and you come off those turns that have little to no runoff, and you almost, I would forget. I can tell you that, so I'm not sure what happens to the drivers, but just it closes up a little bit quicker than maybe they were expecting, and just little wall taps, nothing too crazy. Good thing about these carbon fiber bodies is you can kind of scrape the wall a couple times without creating too much damage to the front or the sides.
Yeah, gets away with one there. So nice to see these racers racing hard, but still able to get away with the other moments that we have as we continue to look at this battle. It was a 4-car battle, not really a 2-2, as the gap has grown a slight bit between Kirk Mills and Hunter Truex in P5 and P6, and then the pack right behind of Joseph McWhorter and Bryson Ixenball. You have to go about 1.2 seconds back to find your P9 runner of Matthew Boston Wheeler, with Eric Wineland rounding out your top 10 as it stands right now. Will anybody go for a move as they head their way down the start-finish straightaway off into turn number 1? Look at that, a potential dive. He looks down the inside, does Truex on Mills. He doesn't go for it. Still stays line in tow. I'm not speaking English right now. Nick Fleck, learning quando learn.
Got me all confused there. This is one heck of a battle right here. Truex trying to figure out when to make that pass. Looks like Kirk Mills maybe holding these 3 drivers up just a tad right now. Trying to stay out in front of them. Trying to have a good run on this stage. Oh, Kirk just a little sideways off of that turn. That's going to open up the door for Truex. Truex going to be side by side. Almost a little contact, but no contact just yet. Did a good job for that. Kirk Mills still out in front of Truex. Truex way to the inside on that curve.
Yeah, with some big curb wax heading off onto the back straightaway. Kirk gonna have to drop out of that big time. He backs in right in tow, right behind Bryson Ixenball. He may have a slowdown that he has to serve, so that could be the reason why Kirk Mills may also lose that on another spot to Matthew Boston Wheeler. Bad swing of fortune for the driver of the number 69 machine. Still involved in this battle is Truex, McWhorter, and Ixenball. Truex trying to break away, though, with about a 1/6 of a second gap between himself and Joseph McWhorter in P6. Will it get intense yet again? I have a feeling that it will. 37 laps on the board of the 75 lap long race, getting closer and closer to the halfway mark. I think we may potentially actually be there halfway through this lap of the race. But Andrew Dyson, still your race leader, building at now a 2.5 second gap between himself and Blake Kluot in P2. Bryce Reiner runs at your podium runners as it stands currently. This battle for some of the other spots inside of the top 10 still going to be close. Hunter Truex trying to build up that gap. McWhorter, meanwhile, slowly but surely falling back into the crutches of Bryson Ixenball, and like Kirk Mills right there to pounce as well.
Very surprising up front there for Dyson right now. I think he's got a bigger lead than he did that first run, and he's doing a good job with whatever adjustment he may have made there. He's one driver not having to worry about too much pressure right now at all, really. Doing a good job just clicking away these laps. Still a chance for that random caution here throughout the stage, though.
But as it stands right now with these racers, fairly uniformly spread out like some hot butter, melted butter over a piece of toast. I think I may want to share a nice little story that I have about Portland Raceway. So if anyone is tuned into a broadcast which features me, doesn't matter really where it is for that matter, because I really carry on the same sort of feeling everywhere. I think, Jeremy, you can attest to this. We've done plenty of shows together. Howie can certainly attest to this since we do these shows together, Fast Fridays together, which saw a pretty interesting race a little bit earlier on this evening at Stafford with the ARCA cars, and also the FF1600 officials that we broadcast here on Maconi Entertainment every single week. I think the both of you here on this broadcast, along with some of the viewers who have seen the stuff that I get up to, can attest to the fact that I am an odd creature when it comes to some of the stuff I get up to on the air. And I trace some of that back to what I used to do back in my YouTube days, before I really got headfirst into broadcasting. God, I think this is show 282 for me this year, I believe this one is. It's my third one today, so you can tell the sort of schedule that I have. But back before I got into broadcasting, I was like full heads deep into making YouTube videos about racing history, which is part of the reason why I can usually yap about that stuff for as long as I can on some of these shows. And one time I was doing a race review of a larger series I was doing of a race here at Portland. It was for the 2003 Champ Car Series that I thought was a brilliant idea to review the entire season of. And throughout that, I ended up having some medical issues. One was a bad bout of COVID that really I didn't fully recover from for a couple of months. Oh, that's a big moment for Kirk Mills. He's lost out on a spot to Eric Wineland. That's a swap-a-roo for P9 and P10. We'll take a look at this replay as I will put that story on pause here for a couple of moments. There's Wineland getting close to the back of Mills. May have spooked him into a running wide moment heading out of turn number 5 as there comes Mills out of the turn. Looks good, looks all right. Oh, just got a little bit too wide on exit. Set himself up for failure down to turn number 6. Loses it, and down a spot he's going to go. Unfortunate moment there for Mills. I love how right as I share a story, that's when the race really starts to get intense. Here's Wineland. He had a moment shortly thereafter. Got that move done on Mills, and then immediately afterwards in turn number 7, got beached on that outside curb and spun up the rear tires on corner exit. That'll drop him down to P15. Pretty bad series of events for one of those racers also looking to point their way into the playoffs. But to wrap up on that story that I was going to say, as we're now getting intense out here on the racetrack, and Mills dropping down big time. I think he has some sort of slowdown. Not really sure what the deal is. He's dropping down like a stone thrown into a pond. I decided it was a brilliant idea that I would go through the silly season report section of that video right after I came back from the dentist. Actually, no, it was the endodontist, technically speaking, after I had a root canal performed on me. So I recorded a part of that video with my face entirely numb from lidocaine. So that's usually what I think of when I think of Portland.
That definitely must have been an interesting time to have a face numb of Novocaine.
Yeah.
As Hixenbaugh makes that pass around the quarter, trying to make his rebound back from the penalty. I know sometimes when I get just a numb lip, I slur my speech quite a bit, so I can only imagine when it's like having a full face numbed out like that. As Hixenbaugh continues that charge.
See, I would play the clip from that video, but I won't for two reasons. One, I think there is some music in the background that I had the rights to, but I'm not sure this YouTube channel does, and I do not want to get one of these broadcasts flagged for any sort of copyright infringement. Also, number two, despite the fact I share some of the stories that came out of it, I promised not to ever promote my YouTube stuff on broadcasts that I was doing. That was a principle that I set as soon as I got into this stuff back in March of 2023, and I have just about held on true to it. I've had some dry drivers in the interviews promote the YouTube channel for me, which always leads me to be leads my face to be about as bright red as the numbers on top of this 02 car of Mark Paget. We follow him right now, currently occupying the final spot inside the top 10, and he is right there alongside his 1-point rival from this race of Lucas Hoytsma. Those two had a squabble in the early stages and pretty much right back next to each other.
So we get a little look here. We have Kirk Mills. Maybe he's the bleeding not stopping just yet. Keeps getting worse for him here tonight. Not sure if it's just because it's really good on the short run, but he's struggling major on these long runs. And yeah, he's just letting everybody go. So I'm not sure if he's just having an issue or if the handling's just that bad.
Yeah, not sure exactly what is going on. Would not be too shocked if there's any sort of damage on that car as well, because for a decent amount of time now. So that is a moment. That's Mark Paget. He's spun off, heading down into the first chicane. Not sure whether or not he overcooked it. Let's take a look at the replay here. So we see Paget right behind Hoytsma, heading down into turn number 1. Hit that inside curb. Looks good through there. May have just spun it up on exit. Yes, he did. Very easy mistake to make, to be sure, but a crushing one for Paget.
Get the car whipped around, get the charge back underway as Hixenbaugh makes the pass around Hunter Truel. So Brayson Hixenbaugh now up to 5th in that number 63. Up front, Andrew Dyson though, 5-second lead. Just keeps continuing to grow.
Look at these two still involved in their own little battle. Bryson Hixenbaugh and Hunter Truel running in P5 and P6 right now. We take a look at Matthew Boston Wheeler and the 06 car currently slotted in P8 as it stands right now. There he is, really running all by his lonesome. Some racers throughout this field, they've got to be feeling kind of lonely as it stands right now. They've been running all by themselves. So one driver who's certainly feeling lonely is Andrew Dyson. I think he was happy that we dragged him into the broadcast booth for a quick little chat, because I'm sure he was probably nice to see some other people, because I say that knowing fully well that he only won that first stage by 0.8 of a second. Dyson's certainly feeling that now as he leads by 5 seconds with 0.8 of a second on top of that. It has been a pretty crushing drive here in stage number 2 for Dyson, as we're about 7 laps away from the end of the second stage. The stage break going to come at the end of lap number 50, and Andrew Dyson certainly staking claim on this result here as he clicks over to 160 miles an hour down that start-finish stretch off into 1 and 2.
Really hauling it right there. You see Tanner Marty, he was sideways on the backstretch there in that number 29 machine. Right there, slotted in 13th, right behind Eric Wineland. Just had a moment just a few laps ago making his charge back to the front. Or up the field, excuse me. Dustin Hall is on pit road. Austin Evie is out. And then Daniel Llewellyn is in pit road. He's been on pit road for a while. Tim Phillips, our only driver, 1 lap down at the moment. We got 17 with a chance to win it still.
Yeah, so 17 cars still out there on the racetrack. 44 laps in to this 75-lap long race here tonight. Yet to see that random chance yellow come out, so I think we may potentially save that for the second half of tonight's race, as we look at a battle that may get intense between the number 71 of Hunter Truel and the number 73 of Joseph McWhorter. He is right there. Look at the brake rotors glowing red on that car as he slams on the brakes down into the 6 and 7 chicane. Usually a pretty quick flick in an Indy car. Here in these NASCAR Xfinity machines, though, bit harder to try and get it done, as Truel runs wide on corner exit, heading out of the final turn, goes off the curb onto the grass, and now here we go. McWhorter trying to get that move done down the inside into turn number 1. He's going to go, and through into P6. He's going to go in the process.
Could see some of these drivers, the longer they run, the setups just seem to not be fitting just right. And you can see how other drivers, the longer these runs are, the better their cars are getting. Tail 2 tapes. Right now, you can look right there at the 29 of Tanner Marty. all over the back bumper of Eric Wineland. Just behind them, Mark Paget, another one of those drivers that recently just gave it a quick spin around. Trying to stay within striking range. With the second stage winding down, we'll be coming around to 10 laps to go in this stage.
Yeah, so certainly getting to the end of it. Stage break going to come at the end of lap number 50, so not too terribly far away from the end of this stage here tonight, as we're now officially
5 laps.
on lap number 46. Don't worry there, Jeremy. I remember doing a broadcast. It was back in February of last year, and I kept calling the guy that I was working with on that show Dutch. It's fun. The guy's name was Frank, so happens to the best of us. Following now, the number 73 and the 71. This is Joseph McWhorter and Hunter Truex battling for P6 and P7, as they have been for a decent amount of time. Matthew Boston Wheeler running about 2.5 seconds back in tow. That 06 of Matthew Boston Wheeler, rather impressive up to this point. He's been putting in a quite respectable performance up to this point here tonight.
Doing a good job. They're running right there in that 8th position. You see these drivers right here. That's McWhorter in the 73, Hunter Truex in the 71. It's ironic. You see a lot of the drivers with numbers pretty close to each other around each other quite often. It's funny how it all works out. Up front, you got the 41 and the 40.
Got the 83 and the 63, who have not only battled in this race, but have also battled for wins and are the top racers in this series, the only racers up to this point with multiple wins. Very odd, the number stuff that goes on in some of these races. I'm trying to think of any sort of more examples that we have had.
Are they teammates, the 83 and the 63?
The 83 and the 63, I don't believe are. I don't believe. I think Adam Benefield, one of the Team Conti racers. Hickson Ball, on the other hand, I don't believe he is a Team Conti driver. See, the thing is with some of these racers, they never really mention at full. Actually, no, they are. Actually, no. So I'm getting the official word right now. By official word, I mean I scrolled a little bit on the full length challenge Discord server. I am correct. Bryson Exenball, one of the other drivers for Ace Moneymaker Racing, ASMR as they like to call it. But some of the Team Conti guys, aka Dustin Hall and the One Machine, who's been in the pit lane for the past 50,000 years, and Adam Benefield, both in there as well. So it's I guess a collaborative effort potentially, maybe, possibly. I'm not really sure. Exactly. It's espionage. That's what it is. Oh, Hicksonball down pit lane. Here we go.
He's trying to flip the stage once again. Hopefully he doesn't have any black flags. It might actually work out for him.
He may have gone away with it this time by no black flag on pit lane entry. And knowing my luck, I probably just jinx him and he'll pick up a pit lane speeding penalty on exit. But he's up on the jacks now, getting some flip strategies at the end of this stage. Here we go, Jeremy. This is where we it gets a bit more enticing. I like to see these strategy calls.
Looks like just one driver potentially trying to flip this stage right here. See how it all works out throughout the rest of the race. See if this is the right call. It'll definitely put him out in the lead, though, if nobody else decides to pit. Well, it will put him out in the lead because he was the first one to pit. So we'll see if the pit strategy works out with just like 2.5 laps of slow rolling around.
So as we get to the end of this second stage, we'll just have to see how things work out with that round of pit stops coming up later on this evening. But Hicksonball going to shoot up a couple of spots as I think Kirk Mills and Kyle Amon slow on this lap. He gets by both of them in the span of just a couple of moments. I think they may have had their own little tussle as they are still losing time out there. Not sure what's going on with Kirk Mills in the number 69 car. He had a lot of pace earlier on, and then things really started to fall off a cliff for him. I'm not sure whether or not his pit crew powered that car with milk or something, but things have been looking really sour for him.
Yeah, we mentioned how he was having a really good night, and ever since we did that, I think we jinxed it. And the person that car, like you said, fell off a cliff there. Kyle Amon, he was involved in some type of incident there. He's now one of the almost last cars in the lead up. Oh, was that
Oh,
Benefield? Benefield
oh
with a huge
no!
incident.
What has
That might
happened to
be.
Benefield?
Oh man.
You know what I think it had to have been, Jeremy? I said this a little bit earlier on. I was awaiting the day that somebody would hit the wall on the entry down into the chicane. I think that may have been it. Let's see. It's looking all right there, looking clean. No, driver spun right in front. Pow! Huge hit there. That's himself in the 5 machine. So 2 of the racers up towards the front of the field. That's a Team Conti car involved in all of that there as well. A huge moment. That's Bryce Reiner in the 5 machine. And let's see what happened to him. He got caught up behind Tim Phillips in the number 27 car. Tried to drop the anchors. And the process of all that, his own teammate comes in as well. I just remembered the fact they're teammates there.
Oh man. I know he's just trying to get back on he's just trying to get it wound up and spun around, but man, happened so fast there in front of Benefield. That's gonna pretty much do it for him. You can see the back bumper there of that 5 machine really messed up. Not sure how much damages wise suspension. I don't know if there's any with being in that rear bumper area, but I do know that is some aero effects there.
Oh, but that is going to be a huge moment there from Benefield. Where he is, where he is, that the Philadelphia addiction coming at there. Where is he at there on the racetrack? He's down P17. That is going to be a big kick in the shins for him at the end of this, as Benefield completely left the session. I could still see him there marked off in the live timing tower, but I guess that information may be a little bit askew. He is still out there from my perspective, or maybe actually he is down in pit lane because he is dropping down second after second. So I think Adam Benefield may have potentially called it a day. Yeah, not looking like Benefield out there on the racetrack as the yellow has come out. Andrew Dyson has won the second stage here this evening. Blake Kluot going to finish in P2. Bryce Reiner rounds at your podium at the end of that second stage. Joseph McCorder class in P4. Hunter Truel in the 71 car will be classed in 5th. Matthew Boston Wheeler in the 06 car finishes that second stage in P6. Lucas Hoitzman in the 97 in P7. It's the 47 of Jim Schufield finishing that stage in P8. Mason Lowry in the 42 car will finish that in P9. Eric Wineland running at your top 10 at the end of the second stage here this evening. Now we're in the final stage. We're in the final third of this race. I just noticed the honey bucket right underneath of the flag stand. Clearly, in case he needs any sort of business, he can get that taken care of rather quickly. But Andrew Dyson, absolutely dominant up to this point here in the race.
Dyson dominating this race here so far. And let's see what the drivers behind him can make for adjustments to make their cars that much faster, because they're going to need it to get around that number 41.
Yeah, they're going to have to hope for some sort of major swing to really help them out, whether that be any sort of assistance with, just changing how the car is running, changing dropping sacks of flour into the passenger seat of Andrew Dyson's car. It's going to take something big, because that 41 driver, as we said a little bit earlier on in this show, he's rather dominated the road courses on the FLCC side of things here in the full-length challenge world. Dominant those cup cars on the road courses. Here in these Xfinity machines, definitely a bit of a different animal, but Dyson proving to be the SVG here in the Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series.
That's a good way to put it. Coming in here and putting the smackdown on these drivers. Some drivers are just really good at road courses, like you said, SVG being one of them, and it's just amazing what some drivers they're just in their house and it just works out for them. And we'll see if anybody has anything for them as they come around the final turn. anybody decides to come down pit road, they will do so now. As we're going to come around, they'll hit 23 laps to go now around pit road, so we should go back to green with about 21 laps to go. As you can see, Hixenbaugh stayed on the track that time, didn't get a penalty. The rest of the field will come down pit road.
Everybody else making that call to come down pit lane, and let's see how it'll work out. Hixenbaugh jumping out to the lead. Dyson going to be leading that train of cars coming down pit lane. Who's going to come out first? Who's going to maybe take a gamble and try and do something else for the strategy? Don't expect any pit stops in the final stage of this race unless we have any sort of green-white checkered. Out and away they're going to go. Going to be a drag race between the 41 and the 40, but Andrew Dyson going to hold on to P2. Blake Kluot going to be in third. Actually, no. Blake Kluot actually got out in front, maybe. Or is Dyson dropping down? Did Dyson pick up any sort of penalty? Dyson has an end-of-line penalty. How in the world did he pick that up? Where did he get an end-of-line penalty from?
We're ready to get 30.
What in the world? That is rather bizarre. Gonna look for further word exactly as to what the deal was there, but man, that is I'm not really sure exactly how he picked that up. That is quite bizarre. I think there's no other word to sum it up, frankly. But 23 laps now left to go here. It's going to be Bryson Hixenbaugh and Blake Kluot on your front row, and that is going to be a huge setback for your fairly dominant driver up to that point. Will be a good storyline for us, though, to follow here on the broadcast booth, Jeremy.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting story to watch, too. The Dyson was 5 seconds fastest in the field last run. Now he has to come from in the field. Once we get that clarification from race control what the penalty was, all I got to say is maybe it's a fun penalty. I'm not sure. Take a look at it at some point. Not sure if he was speeding somewhere. I don't know the whole story, but wow. That's what Hixenbaugh needed.
Yeah, one thing to race about this race as well, the usual race controller of Jason S. Taylor, not here. He's not here tonight. So was it some sort of iRacing issued penalty? I'm not sure if it would, because I'm pretty sure that would probably get marked up on our graphics, maybe, potentially. Mark Padgett, the O2 car, has made the call to come down pit lane. I am downright befuddled. Okay, so we'll do this real quick. I'm gonna drag in. Was it Bryson Hixenbaugh that we want to drag in? Quick word from the production truck. Yeah, I think we'll hold off on having a chat with Dyson here. Alrighty, well, we'll drag in Dyson here real quick. We'll ask him here real quick as we're about to get this race up and rolling. Andrew, welcome in here to the broadcast booth. One quick question: end of line penalty. What's that penalty for?
We're just joking about it now. The official at the end of pit lane told me off and said I was going too fast, so he told me I had to go to the back.
That would do it.
I reckon it's the flag on my car or something that he doesn't like. I don't know. I'm only joking, but yeah. Anyway, I went too fast. Have to go to the back and see what happens.
Alrighty, well, we got the answer that we were looking for. Andrew, good luck for the rest of this race. It'll be good to see you cut your way through the field.
Yeah, cool. Hopefully I can not get involved in a major accident and pass a few cars.
We will keep our fingers crossed that you'll give us a good show to talk about here at the end. Good luck, man.
Cool, Sam.
And that right there was Andrew Dyson. Oh boy, I'm not really sure what's going on over the past couple of moments. Nick Fleck, Baloney Quando Flern. Alrighty, here we go. We have got a pretty interesting end to this race. 22, coming to 21 laps left to go. Your dominant racer is well farther in the back, but we've got some two good racers up the front.
Kluot, one of those drivers that was trying to stay within the striking range. Now still in second with Hixenbaugh staying out. McCorder up to third. We can see what he does now with some more track position towards the front. Good pit stop for him. Gonna be 21 laps to go.
And here we go. And a reminder from the production truck, still that random chance yellow that could come out up until 5 laps left to go here tonight. So let's see if that will be the case, as that pace car has made that turn to come back down pit lane. And we're about to get this race back up and rolling. That is a tremendously horrendous restart from the 73 of Joseph McWhorter. He drops down like a stone. Here comes a dive from Hoytsma. He's sideways into the turn. He hangs on to it as the 71 of Hunter Trull run the bunny hop strategy on the inside turn number 2. That was some dirt track and racing from Hoytsma. So sideways down to the turn. I thought he was going to loop it, but instead he gets a podium finish out of it. Well, the podium spot.
Wow, it was some really close action there through turn 1. You saw one driver trying to go off the track. I'm not sure if he got any time penalties, but I see why he did it, just trying to stay off the other drivers. So far, so good. As Trull gets a little bit wider, that's going to open the door for McWhorter to get to his right side. Not this time to this turn, but McWhorter all over his back bumper. Trying to make this pass happen as the 71 having a not so good restart.
Ooh, Jackson, that's going to be close with a 71 to 73. Trull and McWhorter giving us a good battle to talk about for the final 2 spots inside the top 5. They keep Atlanta stern, and in all of that smoke and drama on that restart, Andrew Dyson has made his way up into P9. The one thing that is out of his hands right now that will make or break how well he can do is making sure that those drivers up the front don't get too far spread out. As look at Kirk. He goes off the track down into turn number 1, goes for a spin, hits that inside wall. Around he goes, and he's now going to have to get that car spun back around the right direction. Things going from bad to worse, even worse still for Kirk.
Yeah, a lot of drivers having a lot of misfortune. As we look at one of those drivers that was having misfortune, that's the 41 of Dyson. I almost feel like this is the fun penalty. Already back out to position number 8.
And bouncing back from that moment, and bouncing into the race lead goes Blake Kluat. Let's see him getting this moved on Bryson Ixenball as they had their way down to turn number 7. Ixenball hopping the rear tires up a little bit, and through goes the number 40. A little bit of contact to help out there as well, but that 63 was all sorts of squirrely down to that part of the track. That will help Blake Kluat jump into the race lead. Bryson Ixenball now going to have to try and get his bearings straight and hold on to P2. Lucas Hoytsma, who hasn't won in this season since Talladega, all the way back in the spring, he's looking to try and get back into victory lane, as getting back into the top 7 is Andrew Dyson with a pre-commanding move there down the inside of Matthew Boston Wheeler.
An extremely large amount of drama here as Dyson makes that pass, makes it look easy around Schofield. That puts Dyson up there into position number 6. A little bit of clean track right here to help him make up some more time on the leaders. Kluat in a good spot. You can see right here the 06 trying to get around him as well. Around the 47 of Schofield there, so the 06 makes the pass of Matthew Boston Wheeler. Right behind them, you got the Eric Wineland machine, the 87 blue car, all over the back bumper of Bryce Reiner. He was sideways and stopped the track at one point, got heavy damage from his teammate, who didn't see him, unfortunately, sitting in the track.
We still get along with this race. Now 18 laps left to go. Blake Kluat, your current race leader. Bryson Ixenball slotted in second. Lucas Hoytsma rounds out your top 3. But as we look at this battle that has been intense for so long between McWhorter and Trull, it was no longer 2 to tango anymore, as you've got a third. That right there is Andrew Dyson, that 41 car, looking to jump back up to the front. That fun penalty, as he described it. I was a little bit, oh boy howdy, that was Hunter Trull having to hold on to it as they headed his way out of turn number 5, went off into the curb, which are seeming to be deadly on the exit of these turns, as look at that, down the inside, commanding move from Andrew Dyson to jump his way up into P5. But no, what we saw from Dyson under that yellow as we brought him in, I was like, do we really want to have a chat with him with 1 lap until we get this race restarted? And we brought him in. He even had jokes for it. He's not even fazed by something like this.
Yeah, I didn't really know how else to describe this penalty, besides maybe trying to have a little bit of fun. He was doing so good dominating out front. Maybe needed a little bit more excitement. Was all by himself out front. This is really cool to watch, man, because I struggle at road courses to see so to see somebody come out here against a lot of really good drivers and just pretty much put a waxing on them. Just goes to show you the talent that this 41 driver has.
Yeah, he is a great racer behind the wheel of anything on these road courses, whether it's Next Gen or Xfinity. He's running pretty all right. Side note, I just thought of something with the change in title sponsorship for next season. Will they have to rename the cars on iRacing as well and completely redesign them? I think they may have to go about that, as here comes a dive from the 41 of Andrew Dyson. Same spot that he got that move done on a true last lap and through into P4 he's going to go. Now, this is the toughest task. Passing is one thing, but now he's got to catch up. Now, catching up is usually the easier thing to do, but this is going to be a bit of a pill to swallow for Dyson. A yellow would probably help him out if we do have that random chance yellow, which we still have the option to have all throughout the season on these road courses. It seems like those random chance yellows have always come out in the second half. I feel like if that would be the case, though, it would actually benefit Dyson, so maybe they'll keep it green through to the end just to give him a harder challenge.
Dyson still 10th fastest in the field where he is right now. This battle right here is tight. One driver we didn't mention, you see there at the bottom of the graphic, is Hoytsma, all the way back up there to third. That's pretty impressive.
That's very impressive. Well done to Hoytsma after that moment down into the first chicane right at the start of the race. He's had to battle, scrape, and claw for everything, but I have a feeling that this is probably going to be a losing battle with himself and Dyson. You can see how that gap has closed up lap after lap. Now about 2.2 seconds between Hoytsma in third and Dyson in fourth, as we look at Bryce Reiner in the number 5 car, currently slotted in seventh, has Matthew Boston Wheeler right behind him. Jim Shoefield and Eric Weiland complete your top 10 as it stands currently. With about 15 laps left to go, Blake Kluot leads them, coming onto the start-finish straightaway in front of Hicksonball, in front of Hoytsma. However, in this small little filibuster from mine, that gap between Hoytsma and Dyson, as much as it wasn't a huge bite taken out of it last time by, it was still enough. That gap now finally below 2 seconds, and he gained so much time heading off into that braking zone of turn number 1. I think that may be his greatest strength.
They gained a whole half a second on a lap. That's incredible. Just waxing that field, even in the traffic. As we look right now, got Wineland here battling the Schofield machine. This is for 9th and 10th. Mason Lowry, one of the drivers we haven't talked about too much here tonight. And that number 42, currently running in 11th. Having a decent night here with this pretty stacked field.
Yeah, pretty solid showing as it stands right now. There are a lot of racers had a pretty good race here, I must say. All things considered, they've been giving us a good amount of storylines to talk about. One driver that I mentioned a little bit early on is that number 06 car, Matthew Boston Wheeler, slotted in 8th, putting on a pretty good drive. Bryce Reiner, first time I think I've seen him in this series for at the very least a decent amount of time, running pretty all right in 7th. And and some of the other storylines that we've got throughout this. Hoytsma, pretty good drive from him. If that race 1 week ago at Daytona was a real-life race, chances are Hoytsma probably would have been turned into a fine mesh paste upon impact, of like impact number 65 that he had in that last lap incident Daytona 1 week ago. But after that moment there at the end of the race, he is looking to bounce back in a big way. Even if it's just a top 5, that is still a good points haul as we get to the end of this regular season. I don't think it'll be a podium though, as Andrew Dyson is right there, now about a half a second between these two.
We're going to just wheeling that thing really close to that wall to the right. Using every inch of the track. That's what makes his lap time just so much faster. Look at that braking. Just so much more braking into the turns. Just really smart driving, knows exactly how far to take it. Extremely smooth exits. Man, he is just got the car dialed in. Looking at the lap times, the leader of Cloat.
Ooh, baby.
Oh, makes that pass there for Dyson. Easy as could be. Looking at their times, the leader was running a 1:14.63. Dyson, we're in a 1:14.08.
Whew. He's cooking. He's
We're
cooking
gonna
with
see
gas right now.
We're gonna see a battle for the race lead, I think, here very shortly.
Yeah, and this would be a mighty drive from Andrew Dyson if he can get it done. This is basically the farthest back he has been all throughout this race, as of all throughout the first part of this final stage here. It's the farthest back he's been by miles. He pretty much started up at the front, jumped into the race lead effective immediately, and has really never looked back. But now he's looking ahead to it. Look at that 4-second gap that we have right now. 4 second, 4.1, occasionally, very briefly, blipping down into the 3s. But let's see, as he heads his way out of the final corner, getting a monumental exit there onto the start-finish straightaway, even with no sort of car punching a hole in the air right in front of him, able to keep pace quite well. But then as we head our way down into the braking zone of turn number 1 and 2, you can see that gap immediately begin to disappear, goes from nearly 4.2 seconds down to 3.8, and even in the midst of all of that as well, despite the fact that some of that time was gained back, you can still see it was a permanent shave, as he's now a heck of a lot closer to being below 4 seconds behind your race leader, Blake Kluat, than he was before.
We wanted to get an interesting story here. Andrew Dyson is doing just that. But throughout the field, still lots of stories going on. That playoff bubble, those drivers are all battling out. You know, battling out those drivers, gaining one or 2 points is not going to make or break your season. So you got to really try to push hard and get more of a gap between those drivers around that cut line.
And there we go. We're expecting a yellow all throughout it, and it has finally come. The random chance yellow coming out with lucky number 13 laps left to go. Last time by, only 12 to go now. That is a big moment, and if that's going to benefit anybody, it's going to be Andrew Dyson.
Heck, I'll be honest, I don't even think he needed the caution.
Oh, probably not, but it certainly makes it a heck of a lot easier.
It's one driver I did not want to see that caution was that number Ford machine of Cloat.
Oh, not at all. He's gonna have to fight to hold on to that spot. There's no question or shadow of a doubt.
And this caution does just that. It develops the drama, and with already having that story of Dyson making a charge back through the field. Let's see if any drivers decide to come down and put tires on it, or if they think that the tires will be just fine. Get them to the end. You can see the field right now, just getting caught back up to it, to the pace car.
I know, that's exactly what I was thinking there, Jeremy. Because of the fact these races were allotted 4 sets heading off into it, they start off on 1, then they switch to it for stage number 2, and then they switched off to another set for this final stage. You can do the math. That's 1 set potentially allotted to a decent chunk of these racers. I can't say everybody has that amount of tires allotted to them, because some racers were involved in incidents and probably swapped tires a little bit earlier on. But for those who make that call, for those who can make that call to put some new tires on, the real question is, do you? If you come in and some other racers around you stay out, are you going to be able to make up that time? That is the ultimate question that's burning in these drivers' heads right now, Jeremy, is let's see him coming around the final turn. That's a call from Hicksonball. That's a call from the number 40 of Kluat. Oh, Jackson! That right there was a late dive from Hicksonball.
Hicksonball thinking just staying out would be the strategy. And as we watch this little game here at the end, Honestly, I think Hexenbaum might be on the losing end of this because everybody pitted but him.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I mean, if you're Bryson Ixenball at this point, you don't really need to think like, okay, I just want to get a good point say out of this. He holds on to a fairly comfortable gap when it comes to what he's been able to obtain up to this point in the season. As oh, interesting, very intriguing stuff there. The fact that Andrew Dyson lost out on P3 to Lucas Hoitzma. Not a lot being the gap, but it is still some gap between those two. It's still going to be P4 on this restart for Andrew Dyson. P3 of those racers to make that call to come down pit lane. I gotta say, I'm with you there, Jeremy. I'm not really sure about that call from Bryson Ixenball. He may have been able to jump into the race lead, rack up a couple more laps led here this season, and pick up some points in the process. But outside of that, what are you necessarily gaining here?
And to me, if there's a couple cars that stayed out, gave him a little bit of a buffer. I don't understand that decision, but unfortunately, not a lot of no cars stayed out, so there's no buffer between him and those fresh tires. And unfortunately, his bet is made because you come back down pit road now, you'll be pretty much outside the top 15 trying to come back to the field. And unless your name is Andrew Dyson, I don't know how much farther forward you're going to come those few laps.
Yeah, at this point, Andrew Dyson only has a couple moves that he's eyeballing to try and pull off between now and the end of this race. Frankly, if he gets one move done, that will be P3. If he gets another move done, that will be P2. If he gets one more done after that, he'll be back in the race lead. So Andrew Dyson looking to continue on that form that we saw from him in the first two races and first two stages, I should say, and have seen from some of the other races in the FLC world in the full-length Cup Challenge, where he's been able to do quite all right on the road course side of things. I believe enters tomorrow's playoff opener here on Maconi Entertainment with the top seed in the playoffs. So Andrew Dyson looking to try and get a good run of form here in this Xfinity race, blow off a little steam before he heads off into that Cup playoff opener tomorrow. And speaking of the playoffs, we are getting close to that here in the Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series, this being the second to last race of the regular season finale gonna come at you here on Maconi Entertainment just in 1 week's time when the series rocks up to Gateway. And then after that, you will be able to see the action from the season opener, for the playoff opener, I should say, at Bristol. That will be on September the 12th. And of course, as you have been able to do ever since the Bristol ran a little bit earlier on this season, all of the action exclusively broadcasted here on Maconi Entertainment. But we have got ourselves an entertaining final 8 laps to look ahead to here, Jeremy. Split strategies up in the front. Blake Clowat trying to fight off the challenge from Dyson. I said this a little bit earlier on. If anybody has Andrew Dyson's number, it is that number 40 machine.
That's the one driver we thought would be in contention to get around that 41, but the 41's right behind him. We'll have to see what the battle's like here into turns 1 and 2, and it's a late race restart. Drama is going to be the story.
Yeah, drama is certainly going to be the order of business, the soup of the day, shall we say. It's going to be dramatic soup. That sounds like a very bad bit of Google translation that someone would find in a Chinese food menu. But Bryson Ixenball and Blake Clowat going to be occupying your front row on this restart. Just the third restart of today. The first restart for a non-stage yellow, although it was that random chance yellow. It's been a clean one up to this point. As I have a couple of moments here and there, it's pretty hard to have a natural yellow come out here at Portland. You got a lot of grass runoff. If you manage to create a pile up through here, I give you my props. That's the best way I can describe it. But Bryson Ixenball and Blake Clowat gonna try and battle. You got Ixenball on those old tires, Clowat on the new ones. Let's see who's going to be able to get that good jump off the line as we see him head their way off through the turns number 9 and 10 chicane. Right at the end of this lap, it's going to be a tense end to this second to last round. of the regular season. Some racers looking to point their way into the playoffs, others just looking for a good day here all around, even if they're already locked into the playoffs. Ixenball looking for win number 8, both on those old tires. I'm not sure if he'll be able to get it done as the field approaches that restart zone. And we are back to racing, as that is a huge moment from McCorder there in the back.
Not sure if he missed a shift or spun the tires. Oh, we got drivers 3 wide. Oh, contact. Schofield involved. Boston Wheeler involved. I believe that's the 42 that's involved. That's what Mason Lowry just spoke about how good of a night he was having.
And that's a huge moment for Schofield. Tried to enter this race with the hope of potentially sealing his playoff spot leaving this event. I think he may still be able to get that job done with a huge gap above that cut line heading off into this race at Portland here today, but not going to help out his case at all as he's now dropped down to P15. A black flag in the air for Bryce Reiner as well. I think he picked up some sort of restart violation there a couple of moments ago. Bryson Ixenball still leading over Blake Kluot. He is right there about a 10th and a half. The gap between those two. Lucas Hoytsma was not able to fend off the 41 of Andrew Dyson, as right now Dyson is there. He's been crawling up on this field ever since the start of this final stage. He's been lurking in the background with the Jaws theme playing in the air, and he is now there to pounce and take a bite out of either of these racers. But now we're going to start to see them battle with each other. One of them wants to get away, and that is Blake Kluot, who goes for the dive down to turn number 1. He locks it up big time. They touch, they bang, opening up the floodgates, and through into the race lead goes Andrew Dyson.
Dyson says, thank you, see you later. Wow, a huge mistake there by Blake Kluot. Very uncharacteristic, just trying to make that pass as a lockup going into turn 1. Now heavy pressure from Lucas Hoytsma. We got a mistake there out of Dyson as well.
Yeah, Dyson tripping up as well. Oh, look at the dive there, the 40. Blake Kluot there 3 wide as they head their way onto the back straightaway. These racers are giving each other hell. 3 wide as they headed their way out of turn number 7. As quickly as Andrew Dyson jumped up to the front, he's now trying to scrape and claw for P2. Bryson Ixenball looking to run away as these racers throw haymakers at each other farther in the back side by side, with Kluot and Hunter Truel holding on to P5 as it stands right now. As here we go. Who's gonna try and mount that charge? I think Hoytsma gonna say, you know what? I tried to do it. I nearly run myself off into the dirt in the process. I'm not gonna fight this anymore. Let Andrew Dyson try and reel in that 63 of Ixenball. Really, at this point, with an 8/10 of a second gap, if those two start to battle, we may be able to pencil in the 8th win of the season for Ixenball. And look at the 71 of Hunter Truel in the midst of that as well. I said right as we saw that drama heading off into 1 and 2 on this restart that the 47 of Jim Schofield was the highest driver when it came to the points. That was a false statement. I apologize. It is the 71 of Truel, as that's a moment there for Kirk Mills. That's himself and Matthew Boston Wheeler with some moments heading off through 4 and 5.
Back to our battle up front, Ixenball Dyson. Ixenball doing a really good job proving me wrong that he can stay up front as long as he can. Maybe those tires aren't as worn as I thought they were going to be. But Dyson, the strongest car all night long, putting the pressure on. We got 2 green machines up here at the front, battling it on. Coming to the final turns here, getting ready to come to 5 laps to go.
Yeah, now with 5 laps of racing action, about 10 miles left for these competitors, it is a chase down between Bryson Ixenball and Andrew Dyson, the top racer in this Xfinity Series, leading over your top running racer in the Cup Series. Dyson, he's looking to try and grab his first Xfinity win of this season, blow off some steam before he kicks off those Cup playoffs tomorrow night, and he is duking it out. Look at him swapping sides. He had the outside down to 4. He also does the inside into 5. He's going to try and clear him, but Ixenball going to fight back as well. Holding on to the inside through 6 are going to go. Who's going to try and back out first? Who's going to try and jump out first? Dyson holds onto it on the inside. A lock up there from Ixenball. He's got to slip back in tow. Now, if you're Ixenball, you got to wonder, how exactly do you go about this? You're on much older tires. Do you try and fight this hard? I think he will. He doesn't have too much to lose already with 7 wins and a surefire qualifier spot into this season's playoffs. He can afford to throw caution to the wind and give Dyson hell.
Coming down the front stretch once again. 4 laps to go around this 1.96 mile track. You can see Higginbotham now slowly but surely just slipping away that win as Dyson tries to etch his name into the new winners list. See the Clot and Hoytsma, 3rd and 4th. Hoytsma bouncing back here late in the race. Started up in the front rows here. I believe he started 3rd. Back up to 3rd when it counts.
Of all the times to peak in this race, this is the right time. 4 laps, really 3.5 laps left to go. Dyson trying to extend that gap between himself and Higginbotham, but the battling behind may decide that fight. Look at Hoytsma going for the dive down into turn number 7. Book it. He is through into P number 2, and Higginbotham losing out on another spot. Blake Cluot following in suit, that driver of the number 40 car. He's very impressive on these road courses as well. We've talked a lot about Dyson, but shout-outs where shout-outs are due to that number 40 of Blake Cluot. Grabbed the win a couple of weeks ago at Watkins Glen. I still think with his form on the ovals as well, if he was running full-time this season, he would have been in that playoff discussion, but no, instead, he slotted in 3rd, trying to grab a podium, as it looks like the win may be a little bit far out of reach for the both of them. They realize that as they're now duking it out for 2nd. Look at Cluot trying to get that move done. He gets it done on Hoytsma. Cluot on the 40, now trying to fend off from the number 97, gets oh so squirrely out of 2. It's that curb on the outside, and now here he goes down the inside into 4. Hoytsma has been giving his competitors every single thorn in the side they could possibly imagine. Great from our perspective, though, here in the broadcast booth.
Awesome angles of Cluot Hoytsma battle with Higginbotham being wound right back into this. Hunter Truel on his back bumper. This is a 4-car battle here for 2nd through 5th, as Andrew Dyson already has himself out to a 3.5-second lead and is driving away.
Yeah, Andrew Dyson looking to drive off into the sunset here at Portland International Raceway, but the battle for 2nd still going to be intense. It is a bare-knuckle fist fight for that P2 spot, as side-by-side between Hoytsma and Higginbotham. Down to the chicane, they bang doors off the track, goes to 63 of Higginbotham. He's now going to have trouble holding on to P4. Hunter Truel going to fight back on the inside through him as they head their way off through 11 and 12. Now, Cluot looking to break away, a 1-second gap to himself and Hoytsma. Hoytsma now has Hunter Truel in the 71 car to battle as well. Nice to see Truel running good in one of these races. Hasn't had a falling infield come down on him, and now with 2 laps left to go, he's hoping to just keep it clean to the end of this race.
In a great spot for a podium finish. Does he try to jump up there and grab it away from Hoytsma? So the Bryson Higginbotham all the way back to 5th. Lots of wins in the bank, but obviously another one would have been great. As you can see, Truel just overdrives that turn just a little bit. Higginbotham tried to capitalize. He's there. See if he can do a little crossover move. Yes, he will. Let's see if it's successful. Coming around the final turns. Getting ready to see that white flag here shortly.
Yeah, the white flag going to be in the air for Andrew Dyson as he holds on to that 3-second gap over Blake Cluot. He just needs to keep it clean, and the race is going to be his. Dyson on track for a win. The battle for P2 going to be a little bit spread out between Cluot and Hoytsma, and even between Hoytsma and Higginbotham, it's even more spread out. Everybody has gotten involved in their own little tussles. They've thrown haymakers at each other, and this grid, compared to how it was a matter of a couple of laps ago, looks completely different. The white flag in the air. One more lap of racing action for Andrew Dyson as he heads his way off into turn number 4 and 5 for the last time here in this race. The dominant racer over on the Cup side of things with multiple road course wins. He's running some of these races thus far here in the Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series season here for 2025, but yet to get a victory. Key word being yet. He heads his way out of turn number 6 into 7 right now. From our camera angle, it looked like he was slowing down. I was about to say, don't tell me he's about to run out of gas. Maybe the fact that it's my 3rd show here tonight, but I don't want my voice to give out. Dyson, though, heads his way onto the back straightaway at full speed and full song. The V8 singing in that race car as he looks to cap off a brilliant drive here at Portland International Raceway down into turns number 9 and 10 for the final time here in this race. That number 41 car started up in the front, grabbed that lead early on. He won stage 1, won stage 2, and frankly, it would have been a runaway if it wasn't for that drive-through. But as he heads his way onto the start-finish straightaway and drifts it around, that's the win for Andrew Dyson here at Portland.
As the rest of the field comes to the checkered flag, finishing their respective positions. Dyson made it look easy. Like we said, he had that slight penalty, but man, drove right to the field, got the random caution at the right time. He's headed to victory lane.
And a well-earned victory in the process of it all for Andrew Dyson. He did not put a foot wrong all throughout this race. It was a brilliant drive from him in that number 41 car. Reserve a mention for your P2 finisher of Blake Kluot at the end of this race. He put in a very valiant effort throughout it all. There is no question or shadow of a doubt about it. But here are your results at the end of 75 laps of racing action here. Race number 25, the second to last race of the regular season here for the Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series. And it's Andrew Dyson winning over Blake Kluot in P2. Lucas Hoitzma will round out your podium in third. It'll be Bryson Ixenball classed in fourth. Hunter Truel classed in fifth. It'll be Joseph McWhorter in sixth in front of Tanner Marty. A very nice day for the driver of the number 29 car. Eric Wineland going to finish right behind him in P8. Mark Paget in ninth with Matthew Boston Wheeler rounding out your top 10.
Kyle Amon, at number 17, comes home in 11th. Kirk Mills had quite the fall off there, but comes back all up to 12th. Jim Schofield comes home in 13th. 14th belongs to Mason Lowry. 15th goes to Cody Bird. 16th, Tim Phillips. 17th, Bryce Rayner. 18th, Adam Benefield. 19th, Dustin Hall. 20th, Austin Evie. And 21st belongs to Daniel Llewellyn.
And so those are your results at the end of a rather exciting race here at Portland. It was a slow burner towards the start. It just looked like it was going to be a nice, calm, and relaxing drive in the Pacific Northwest. But the Aussie in that number 41 car picked up that end of the line penalty. And then after that, he just gave us a good show to talk about at the end of it all. Fantastic stuff for all of these races. Keeping it clean as well. You know, outside of a couple of moments here and there, Jeremy, those racers put on a very good drive here at Portland. Keeping it clean. The only yellows that we had were down to the stages and the randomly assigned yellow.
This league has awesome racing, especially with these great drivers each and every week. I like the open setup concept. Makes it a little more comfortable for each and every driver to their style, so I believe it keeps the racing a little bit more green.
Keeps it open as well, which you absolutely love to see. Just waiting here at the moment for the drivers to get into the correct area so we can drag them in for a little chat. At the end of this race, we'll filibuster here for a couple of moments and let you know what's coming up here on Maconi Entertainment and in the FLC world. Of course, tomorrow night, same time, same place here on Maconi Entertainment, albeit a very different racetrack. Tomorrow will be the first playoff race of the full-length Cup Challenge. They're going to be running the FLCC Southern 500, where 16 racers going to look to try and win a championship over the final 10 weeks of this season. Door-to-Door Sim Racing League going to be running at Darlington not tomorrow, the day after on Sunday evening. I'll be on the call for that. So looking forward to seeing some Cup action here at there at Darlington, I should say. Here at Portland is the only race that we've got there. But if you're in the mood for some more road course action, the FF 1600 is running at Oschersleben this upcoming Monday as we continue on with that season. And Racers Elite Truck League going to be running at Stafford this upcoming weekend. Of course, you'll be able to tune into all of the action as we get to the end of the regular season as well here from the Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series. Only one more after this here, man. Time flies when you are having fun here this season. But it looks like the racers are now filing in in to the broadcast booth so we can have a quick little chat with them. I think we'll get the interviews kicked off, rolling, and ready to rock by dragging in Lucas Hoytsma to have a chat with him. I'll bring him in to have a chat with our P3 finisher. Lucas, welcome into the broadcast booth. P3 for you at the end of it all here at Portland. How was it out there from your perspective?
Well, it was a tough break to start the race. Lap 1, turn 1, I got some pretty substantial right front damage, so kind of had to limp around with that for a while, and then I ended up getting that fixed. And had a decent stage 2, climbed up to I think 7th, and then got a few more spots at the stage break off of pit road, and just kind of climbed back up where I could, and I was somehow in contention for the win there at the end. I don't know how that happened. I didn't feel like I had winning speed, but everybody was racing each other so hard. We were all just kind of sliding all around. It didn't matter how fast you were; it was just how good you were avoiding each other. And man, I can't believe all of us made it to the checkered flag out of that top 5, because we were just racing each other so hard. That was so much fun. I haven't had that much fun in this car in a long time, in these road courses, especially Portland. Just a great time.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, you racers up at the front were really throwing haymakers at each other towards the end. It was fantastic from our perspective here in the booth. Had to have been just ever so slightly terrifying, though, behind the wheel.
Oh, it was very terrifying. If I recall, I think I passed out in the middle of that 3 wide for a second, because I thought we were all dead. I saw Dyson to my right. I saw the 40 just appear across my nose and then go to my left. And I was just kind of stuck in the middle. Luckily, we all sorted it out before the left-hander there, but it could have got real bad for all 3 of us really quickly.
Yeah, very lucky, though, to say that you guys made it through that battle and gave us one hell of a finish here at Portland today. But Lucas, looking ahead, one more race from the regular season. It'll be Gateway next time at. Already locked into the playoffs, I believe, with a win a little bit earlier on this season. So what are your thoughts heading off to the final race of the regular season in just 1 week's time?
Well, not the greatest at Gateway, but we'll see what kind of speed we got. I'm definitely looking forward to those playoff races, though. I'm excited about Bristol, but you just got to get through Gateway, because I don't know. We'll see what my speed's like. I'm not too sure about it.
Yeah, Gateway, a rather unique track in the world of racing, shall we say. It's like Darlington, if Darlington was flatter in the Midwest and the track looked like it approached the event horizon of a black hole. But Lucas, thank you for joining us here in the broadcast booth. We'll let you give a thanks or shout-outs before we let you go.
Yeah, just quick shout out to Quinn and 712 Brakes, everybody over at the Wanted Goons, everybody who puts this thing on. 20-something cars at Portland. That's awesome. It was a fun night, and so glad we get to do this.
And glad to have you here in the broadcast booth, man. Well done on the P3, and looking forward to seeing you out there on the racetrack at Gateway next time out.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And that right there was our P3 finisher of Lucas Hoytsma joining us here in the broadcast booth. And Jeremy, want to have a chat with our P2 finisher of Blake Kluwat?
Yes, if somebody could grab Blake Kluwat and bring him in to our booth with that Coca-Cola Home Depot looking machine. Blake, man, you're up front all night long. Doesn't look like you had just a little bit off there on Dyson. What more did you need to get around him?
Probably a little bit more pace. Somebody else driving the car, I think, definitely would have helped as well. But yeah, I thought he made some adjustment at the end of the first stage, but he just changed up something about how he's driving the track, and I just couldn't keep up with him after that.
We guys had a really exciting finish. There was 4 cars battling for second place there coming towards the end of the race. What was it like from your seat?
I don't know. There wasn't much thinking going on. It kind of felt like I was just out there drifting through every corner, and I was trying to just come out on the other side, P2, but we were sliding, slipping everywhere. It was really fun. Had a great time.
It was exciting to watch from the broadcast booth as well. Blake, you're up here in the booth again. What are your thoughts going into Gateway next week?
It'll be good to get on a normal oval, not super speedway or no road courses. See what I have against these guys, because I can do well at road courses, but I want to see how I stack up against them at just some ovals, you know.
Absolutely. And before we let you go, Blake, who are you going to thank for getting you here tonight?
Oh man, I got to thank P1 Racing, GWC Paints, and John Nichols for hooking me up with this sweet paint scheme. Everybody watching, my friends, family, my girlfriend Victoria, especially because I got in trouble last time for not thanking her, so I apologize. But
Oh, no.
yeah, that's about it, though.
Awesome. Well, good stuff, Blake. We appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll talk to you after the finish at Gateway.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you, guys.
Have a great night.
You too.
And that right there was the number 40, your P2 finisher, Blake Kluat, joining us here in the broadcast booth. And we got time for one more interview, and it is our P1 finisher at the end of this race in the 41, Andrew Dyson, joining us once again here in the broadcast booth. Andrew, welcome in. A pretty compelling performance from you here at Portland. We talked to you right before the start of that final stage that official, did you perhaps tell him to pick a finger as you were driving to victory lane?
Maybe, yeah. No, at the end of the day, it's completely my fault. But yeah, I just thought that I could hold it flat out of the pit box there and not speed by the time I got to the green cone. But it was a little bit further away than I thought. And at the same time, I was sort of trying to make sure I stayed in front of Blake there. So, but yeah, I definitely would have shown him one digit on the way back into the pits after the race for sure.
See, I was going to fire this joke your way, but we're right about to get the restarts. I didn't want to hold you into the booth as you're about to get the final stage up and rolling. I was going to say it may have been a difference between any sort of opinions about Marmite. It's a cheap joke. I had to make it since he's the here on this race. But man, that was a pretty good drive from you here at Portland. It looked like ever since the drop of the green flag, you really found yourself in a groove around here.
Yeah, maybe after the first stage, really. It was the first stage you sort of asked me a great question, which was pretty much on point. I had to learn a little bit about not so much the track and how to get around it, but just some nuances of it. So I found like on the exit of turn 3, same thing, exit of the hairpin, there was like a little bit of a hole in the road on the left-hand side. So you didn't really want to be over there right on the edge grip of the tyre and at full throttle because you just burst out into wheel spin. So I made that mistake there a couple of times, made some mistakes going through the fast chicane where I was picking up grass and slowing myself down. But once I sort of worked out a few little things like that, felt like I had some pretty good speed. Just had to not speed in pit lane. But yeah, we did anyway. But man, that yellow got me back into the race. And I had some good fun there at the end. So that was pretty cool. Tried to give it back sort of thing to Bryson and Blake when they had their coming together at turn 1. And then I nearly managed to wreck everyone behind Bryson after that because I was sort of just getting hooked just a little bit by Lucas and I couldn't get off him when we were coming out the hairpin. And I knew that we might have been 3 wide. I'm like, oh no, this is going to be so bad here, but got away with it. That's the last time I ever try and, give spots back or anything. It's, I shouldn't be trying to do that sort of stuff anyway. And, just should let the race play out organically, I suppose. It is a contact sport anyway in NASCAR, so if people run into each other, that's the way it is.
Yeah, now looking ahead here in the FLC world, your main attention is certainly on the Cup Series, where the playoffs are going to be getting kick-started at Darlington tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, at least from my perspective on the East Coast. But what are your thoughts heading off into that playoff opener at Darlington coming up tomorrow?
I think should be looking pretty good. I generally go okay at Darlington. I reckon top 5 should be on the cards. That is, unless of course everyone comes out swinging, and I'm sort of chilling a bit too much. Not really. I certainly want to try my best, but yeah, I mean, I think all things going well, yeah, top 5 should be on the cards, and that's sort of what I'm hoping for. I don't need to go out and win all the races. I think everyone will have the same sort of attitude. No one needs to go out and win all the races, although if you do, that's great. Certainly not going to... I'm going to take a win if I can get it, but yeah, don't have to, so just going to try to do the best I can, get the best result I can.
Yeah, just trying to get a good result here as we rapidly approach the end of the season here in the FLC world. But a fantastic performance here for you in the Xfinity Series here tonight. But we'll let you give thanks or shout outs before we let you go and fully celebrate this win here, Andrew.
Yeah, man. Big shout out to City Chevrolet and Hendrick Motorsport for providing the cubic inches tonight. Goodyear Tyres for putting the rubber down to the road, or the power down to the road, and all the guys at FLCC for putting on the league. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you as well for joining us here in the broadcast booth, Andrew, and giving us a good, real fight from the back to talk about the end of the race as well. Thanks again for joining us here in the booth, and congratulations on the win.
Thanks, guys, and thanks for doing the show for us too.
Always a pleasure. That right there was your P1 finisher, your race winner here at Portland, Andrew Dyson. He is going to look to hit the ground running tomorrow night as we get the playoffs kicked off for the full-length Cup Challenge at Darlington for the Southern 500. But Jeremy, another fantastic race here for the Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series. Final thoughts before we wrap up tonight's show.
Another great race here by these drivers in this league. That'll pretty much do it for my scheduled shows here with you guys for right now, but it was a pleasure to run with you guys and do a couple races here and get to experience Portland here tonight. Excited to see these drivers each and every week, though, on the Maconi Entertainment broadcast from a different perspective.
And it'll be nice to see what that race in 1 week's time has to offer as we wrap up the regular season here in the Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series at Gateway next time out. And then we get the playoffs up and rolling once we hit the ground running at Bristol on September the 12th. And of course, through the end of this season, you'll be able to catch all of the action here on Maconi Entertainment, here to bring the action to life. But as this broadcast here for race number 25 of the Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series here at Portland, that will just about do it. So for myself, Ron Mullins, Jeremy Briggs joining me in the commentary booth, and Howie Burrows doing a wonderful job working on the cameras and the graphics in the virtual production hauler, I say thank you all so very much for tuning into this broadcast here on Maconi Entertainment tonight, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.